Why? The burst of laughter cut through the still air of Miller's diner like something sharp and cruel. It wasn't warm or joyful, not the kind shared between friends, but harsh, mocking laughter that made people glance up uneasily. In the corner, a girl sat curled over her milkshake, her shaky hands gripping the straw. Her name was Lily. She had lost her left leg in an accident when she was only 10. Now 16, she moved with crutches, quiet and withdrawn, almost invisible. But that morning, being invisible didn't save her. Two boys, known troublemakers from the nearby high school, had chosen her as their source of amusement. They leaned in, whispering, snickering, pointing, until one of them, tall and cold, sauntered over to her table. He muttered something cruel about her missing leg, something so heartless the entire diner seemed to freeze. Before anyone could step in, he knocked the milkshake from her hands, sending it smashing onto the floor. The crack of glass echoed loudly. Chocolate spilled across the tiles, mixing with her tears as Lily recoiled, her eyes wide with shame, and then one of them struck her across the face. For a moment, everything stopped. The waitress gasped. An elderly man murmured under his breath, but no one intervened. The boys laughed as they walked out, leaving her trembling, clutching her cheek. The silence that followed felt heavier than anything spoken. If you believe kindness, bravery, and second chances still have the power to change lives, take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps spread stories that remind people that humanity still matters. Lily remained there for a long time, frozen in place. Her chest felt empty, as if the world had just told her she was less than everyone else. The waitress, a woman named Nancy, came over, crouched beside her, and spoke gently, "Sweetheart, don't cry." But Lily couldn't hold it in. Her quiet sobs shook her small frame. She wasn't crying just because of the slap. She cried because this wasn't new. Life had been harsh for as long as she could remember. After losing her leg in a hit-and-run, her father had left her and her mother behind. They only had each other. Lately, even that felt fragile. Her mother worked long double shifts at the hospital, leaving Lily alone most days, studying at home. She hardly ever went out, and this diner visit had been her small act of rebellion, her attempt to feel like a normal teenager for once. But the world wouldn't let her forget she was different. She picked up her bag, her hands still unsteady, and tried to stand, but her crutch slipped on the sticky milkshake. Nancy hurried to her side, helping her steady herself. Lily's lips trembled as she whispered, "Thank you." Nancy saw the pain in her eyes, deeper than words. The diner now felt colder, quieter. No one knew what to say. Outside, the boys laughed as they rode off on their bicycles, ordinary bikes, not motorcycles. The kind of laughter that lingers like bruises long after it fades. Time passed, nearly an hour, and Lily stayed in her corner trying to compose herself, staring out at the dull gray November morning. She had no idea her day was about to change in a way she would never forget. Suddenly, the bell above the door rang, sharp and loud. Heads turned. The rumble of engines outside and the heavy stomp of boots filled the room. 5 bikers stepped in, their leather jackets damp from the light drizzle. They were large, rugged men, arms covered in tattoos, thick beards, chains clinking softly, the kind of presence that made others move aside. But what no one could see yet was the kindness beneath their tough appearance. Their leader, a broad man with streaks of silver in his beard and gentle eyes, looked around the room. His name was Jack. He and his group, the Iron Saints, were on their way to a charity ride for children's hospitals. They had only planned to stop for coffee and pie, but what they walked into was something that would change everything about their day. And Lily's life. Nancy walked over to them, a bit nervous at first, but with a polite smile. "Coffee for everyone?" she asked softly. Jack gave a small nod. "Yeah, and something sweet too. It's been a long ride." As they slid into a booth, Jack's gaze drifted across the room and landed on Lily sitting by herself. Her milkshake glass was empty, her cheeks still stained from crying, and her crutch rested awkwardly beside her. Something in his chest tightened. He leaned closer to Nancy and murmured, "That girl, is she all right?" Nancy paused, uneasy. She didn't want to cause trouble, but she couldn't bring herself to lie. "Some boys came in earlier," she said quietly. "They hurt her. She didn't do anything." Jack's face hardened, his jaw setting tight. He looked back at Lily, small and fragile, trying to disappear. Then he glanced at his crew, and without a single word, they all understood. They rose together, walked toward her table, and the diner grew silent once more. Lily looked up, startled. Jack lowered himself beside her, so their eyes met. "Hey there, sweetheart," he said gently. "Mind if we join you?" She hesitated, uncertain, then slowly nodded. The men pulled chairs around her, forming a quiet circle of protection. The atmosphere in the room shifted, changing from sympathy to something like respect. Jack noticed the red mark on her cheek. "Those boys hurt you?" he asked softly. She didn't answer, just lowered her gaze. Jack exhaled, his voice calm but filled with emotion. "You didn't deserve that. Not at all." Then something kind happened. One of the bikers, a younger man named Logan, stepped up to Nancy and said, "Could you bring her another milkshake? The biggest one you've got." Then he turned back to Lily. "Chocolate, right?" Her lips trembled before forming a small smile. "Yeah," she whispered. As she drank her fresh milkshake, the men began to talk, not about pity or pain, but about strength. Jack told her about his own accident years ago when he'd broken both legs in a crash. He explained how the pain nearly consumed him, but how he found purpose again by helping others. "Scars don't mean you're broken," he said quietly. "They mean you made it through." Tears filled Lily's eyes. For the first time in a long while, she didn't feel like just the girl with one leg, but like someone strong, someone who mattered. Then the diner door swung open again. The two boys came back in, laughing and pushing each other, unaware of what was waiting. Their laughter stopped instantly when they saw the table of bikers. Jack stayed still, only turning his head slowly, his eyes now cold. The leader's voice dropped into a low, heavy tone. "You the ones who hit her?" The boys froze, and the entire diner seemed to hold its breath. The taller one tried to say something, but his voice faltered. We were only joking around." Jack rose to his feet, standing over them with quiet authority. "Joking around is spilling a drink," he replied calmly. "What you did was plain cruelty." He didn't need to lift a hand or raise his voice. Just being there was enough to drain the confidence from their faces. He stepped closer, his gaze steady. "You see that girl?" he said, gesturing toward Lily, who stood watching with wide, uncertain eyes. "She's stronger than both of you put together, and you owe her a real apology." The boys hesitated, their cheeks burning. One of them muttered a weak sorry, but Jack remained still. "Look at her," he said firmly. "Say it like you actually mean it." This time, their voices trembled as they faced Lily. "We're sorry," they said, and this time it carried weight. Jack gave a small nod. "Now leave, and next time you meet someone who's endured more than you ever will, you show respect." The boys rushed out, shame weighing them down. When the door shut behind them, it felt like the entire diner could finally breathe again. Lily looked up at Jack, her eyes shining. "Thank you," she said softly. Jack's expression gentled. "No need for that, kid. Just promise me something. Don't ever let people like that decide your worth." After the bikers walked out, the diner felt changed, lighter, calmer, and somehow warmer. Nancy wrapped Lily in a hug before she left, whispering, "See, not all angels have wings." Outside, the low roar of engines filled the air as the bikers rode off into the distance. Lily stood by the window, watching them disappear, a small smile breaking through her tears. In the weeks that followed, everything began to shift. News of what happened at Miller's Diner spread, and people who once stayed silent about bullying started speaking up. The school introduced a new awareness program, and even the two boys, humbled by what happened, began volunteering at a local rehab center. Lily started coming by the diner more often, growing close to Nancy and even sketching portraits of the bikers, which she sent to the Iron Saints through her. Weeks later, the familiar sound of engines returned. Jack and his crew came back, this time bringing something special. They presented Lily with a brand new custom-painted prosthetic leg, donated through a charity they supported. Engraved along the side in silver were 3 simple words: "You are strong." Lily couldn't hold back her tears as she hugged Jack, while applause filled the diner. "Now," Jack said with a grin, "every step you take is a victory. Remember that." That evening, Lily stood outside under the glowing neon lights of Miller's Diner, feeling the cool breeze brush against her face. For the first time in years, she didn't feel broken, she felt complete. Because kindness had arrived in the form of leather jackets and steel boots. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Let's remind the world that kindness is stronger than cruelty, and that a single act of courage can echo through countless lives. Before you go, share in the comments one act of kindness you'll never forget. Your story might give someone the hope they need today. And as Lily's journey shows us, sometimes the toughest angels ride motorcycles.